media doesn't really talk about music. They talk about hairstyles and fashion and who the girlfriends are and who the fathers are. And I rarely hear anybody doing a review about, hey, what does Julian's voice sound like? And why is that so special?
They're kind of like an indie rock boy band. You know, you have your favorite, they're all really cute.
I think that's what I loved about them, is because I was so tired of girls liking, you know, the Backstreet Boys and whatever else there was out there. I was so sick of that, and I was like, if a young girl could see a band like this, they all look cute, they look really cool, and maybe they'll like the music. So that's what I was really hoping, because I was so tired of all those, you know, 98 Degrees and all those kind of bands.
They looked so unbelievably cool when they came in. First of all, they're all good looking, you know, and they dressed really well, and like just really good, like retro, like 1982 looking clothes, you know what I mean? Just really like, wow.
I like when a band has a look. I mean, just coming out of like the whole grunge era, I think it's nice when a band like takes the time to sort of say, hey, what are you wearing tonight? You know, oh, let's wear skinny ties. So, I mean, I would never slam a band for that.
When they wake up and they walk out on that street, they are distinctively different and they're glamorous. Even if they're on the way to the deli to get a bagel and coffee or whatever, they carry themselves in a way that's not like the rest of us.
I can't go on stage a lot of times and wear Chuck Taylor Converse, even though I've been wearing them forever, because people go, he's trying to be the Strokes, which is not a good thing, but it's like, you know, they were doing stuff that everybody was doing. You know?
I think that the style that the Strokes have is a natural thing for them. I think they work at it. Of course, everyone kind of pays attention to what it is that they're doing to some degree, but it's also a really natural thing for them. It's just in the genes.
You know, they look like street urchins out of Oliver Twist or something like that. You know, with the like white belt and the thrift store clothes and stuff like that. It was just a little too perfect, a little too put together, and I think that's one of the things that's made it easy for the media to make them into the quintessential New York band.
Chrissy Miller is a New York urban fashion designer and has tested the limits of how seriously the Strokes take themselves.
I have a company called Sophomore, and I made this t-shirt. We were sitting around at like a nightclub, and there were all these sort of, you know, younger girls, like richer, you know, socialite girls wearing like Kiss t-shirts and New York Dolls and Led Zeppelin, and it kind of just had no clue what they were really wearing. So we thought it would be like a funny joke to make like a rock t-shirt that these girls would probably buy, not knowing really what the band was. Like Albert, the guitarist, thinks it's hilarious, and I was really scared about meeting him. He was with a friend of mine. I was like, don't hate me, I really, like, I'm a big fan, it's not, you know. And he's like, no, I think it's so funny, and, you know, Fabricio. But I remember I wore it one night to a show, and they were like all sort of standing outside, and they were just like, what does that say? Like, are you crazy? So yeah, I was really scared that they would be mad about it, but they were totally cool.
The cool clothes and effortless style make the Strokes amazingly publicity-friendly.
The first press they got ever was this huge fashion spread. There they are, a 2-page spread of an unsigned band. And so I think because of that connection, you know, the way they dressed was able to make it into the cool fashion world.
For Tricia Romano, lifestyle columnist at New York's Village Voice, the non-music observations are all part of an enticing package. Every last stroke is a musician, celebrity, and style icon.
They're all three things kind of rolled into one, which is why they came across so well, you know. So, but you know, it's weird. They don't feel like they have a New York presence at all. I mean, you see them in Page Six, like more because one of them is dating Drew Barrymore. Page Six is in the New York Post. It's the big gossip column.
They were with Drew Barrymore, they were with Liv Tyler, You know, I'm sure that, you know, now they have an opportunity to, you know, I saw them with Cameron Diaz. You know, they have an opportunity now to hang out with, you know, the big stars. Or I've seen them just walking in the neighborhood, you know, because I don't think they've achieved that, like, you know, superstardom. They can't really just walk around alone unless, like, you know, they're with Drew Barrymore or someone that's going to cause more attention.
Despite the media attentions, the Strokes live a low-key New York life on the Lower East Side, except Nikolai, who cycles everywhere from his uptown home.
They're hilarious. I mean, they're really fun and funny, and they all hang out together. They look like they're all great friends. They go to shows together all the time. I saw them at Radiohead and Kings of Leon, and, you know, they're really big fans of, like, a lot of, you know, local New York bands here. You know, they're always on top of, like, the new stuff, and they're like a normal bunch of kids.
I would just see them in bars, looking like orphans, you know, sort of, you know, crouched over their drinks and whatnot.
Yeah, it's funny, like, my friend was being interviewed by Rolling Stone, and she's talking about the Strokes, and then Julian walks by as they're having the interview, and she's like, oh, come over here, like, and the guy from Rolling Stone's like, who's that? Had no idea who he was. So it's like, they're still so, you know, under the radar with a lot of people.
And I see them regularly in the neighborhood. I see them at long wave shows, and I see them, you know, when Fab is walking down the block with Drew and no one pays any attention to them, but they do have a vibe. If you don't know the band, you know there's something cool about them.
So it's late 2001. The journalists are buzzing, the right kind of publicity is there. But is that retro-sounding album a gimmick, or can these musicians really rock?
I did the sound for the Strokes the first time that they played here. And I remember going home that night and talking to my girlfriend and telling her that I saw a band tonight that I have high expectations for. And if they don't implode, this band could really be something special. And I never ever said that to her before or after. I remember saying, he reminds me of Jim Morrison. He had a baritone voice, which I think are always the really exciting voices. There are only 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 or 7 vocalists that I've ever worked with are baritones. They're almost always tenors. And so he sounded like Morrison, but the band was really sloppy. I said it was like seeing Morrison in front of the Sex Pistols.
What I really noticed was the girls loved them. So they're all excited about them. They're all like being like teen boppy kind of girls. And if a band was in teen beat, you know, that's what they were like. They were like, oh wow, this band's great. So I knew if the girls all liked them, there had to be something about them.
After we played the show here with them, we were sitting over by the bar, and someone came over and said, hey, you know, you guys should go and check on your stuff, because our stuff was behind the velvet curtains on the stage. You know, because I think there's some kids messing around back there, and you know, you might want to be, you know, just keep an eye on your stuff. And so somebody went back and looked there, and then they came back and they said, there's like 2 kids fooling around back there. And so a friend of ours had her, you know, trusty digital camera, and she went back and she didn't even look. She just put her hand around the curtain and squeezed off a picture, and then